Okay, this video is going to be on the simple shape tools in Illustrator. So what I've already done is I've opened up Illustrator and I'm going to create a new document. So I'm going over to the left hand side and I'm going to create new. Okay, when I do that, I get the new document dialog box. And as you can see, you have some options at the top. Recent, meaning recent files you've designed, anything that you have saved. If you want to design towards mobile design, web, print, film, and so forth. And I'm going to select print because that's what we're going to be involved in this class. So I'm going to select print. And then I get some common sizes of print documents. And what I'm going to do is come over to this side. First off, what I'm presented with on the right-hand side is untitled. I could title my document right away, or what I could do is wait to the end and go File, Save, and then title it. But what I would like to do is change the unit of measurements from points to inches. We will be working in inches. Then I can change the width and the height. So maybe I don't want it 8.5 by 11, but rather I want it to be 8 inches by 10. Then I can change the orientation to from portrait to landscape. I could decide how many artboards. I'm not going to get into artboards in this video. And I'm not going to really get into some of these other advanced options. At this point, I'm just going to create. Okay, and I've got a new document. Okay, here's my toolbar. I've got some other palettes. Now, you may have other palettes that are open on the left-hand side. For instance, I'm going to go Window, Workspace, and I'm going to reset Essential Classic. And this is probably how you're seeing your file. I tend to close all these. I just don't like too many things open on my screen. And I think I'm going to use the hand tool here to kind of move it over a little bit as well. If you want to edit your document at this point, you can go to this tool right here and you've got some options. I could change it to landscape. I could change the document sizes as well. I'm going to change it to landscape. And I'm just going to click the selection tool at the top here just to kind of set that in place. Now the simple shapes are located right here. Again, don't forget you can modify your toolbar if you don't want to see it in this long version. You can click these double arrows and you can look at it in column view like I have. Now the simple shapes are located below the T tool. And I have some options here. I've got the rectangle tool, the rounded rectangle tool, and so forth. I'm going to select just the rectangle tool. When I have that selected, I can go into my document and I get a crosshair with my cursor, and I can click and pull out a rectangular shape. At the top here, in my option bar, I can change the default white fill and black stroke with another color. If I click this down arrow, I can change the color. I could change the shape, the color of the stroke as well. I could change the size of the stroke by clicking the up and down arrows here. I'll just put it at 2. I can go into the document and I can go to the sides and I can pull it up and down. I can scale it that way. I can also go to a corner and I can scale it as well. If your shape is selected, you can still make edits to it. And I know it's selected because I'm seeing these small squares on all the sides. To deselect an object, what I can do is just go to my select tool and just click on any open spot. Now I can't edit it because it's not selected. Again, if I go back and I select it, I can tell it's selected and I can make those modifications. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And I'm also going to zoom in on this area here. Again, with it selected, these little circles inside, you see the little arch that appears below my cursor? if I click and pull, I can round those corners. I'm going to go edit, undo. If I just want to edit this one corner, I click, and now I'm just editing this one corner. To prove that, I'll actually zoom back out. I'll go View, Fit Artboard in Windows. See, I just did this one. Again, if you click and pull, you can do them all. If you want to just do one corner, I'll do this one. I'm going to click it, and now I have the ability just to round one of the corners. To get rid of something that's on your document, maybe you no longer want the shape, just make sure that it's selected and hit delete. Again, I'll go back to the rectangle tool. You can click and pull. If you want a certain size, select that tool and click in the document and you get a dialog box. Maybe I want excuse me, a rectangle that is 5 inches by 5, and I can say OK, and I get that shape. Okay, again, I can scale it still, and I'm going to move it out of the way. Now the next tool is the rounded rectangle. I'm not quite sure why we need the rounded rectangle, since we can convert just a regular rectangle into a rounded one, but you do have the ability just to come in and select that tool and change the color of that shape. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of move this out of the way. The next tool down the list here is the ellipse tool. If I click and pull, I get an ellipse. Note that it's actually filling it with the color fill and stroke color that I have selected previously. So if you want to change the color, you have to click the down arrow and change the color that way. Anything that is selected can be modified in that manner. I'll move that out of the way. Now, if I want a circle, what I want to do is have that tool selected, the ellipse tool, start pulling with my mouse, hold down the shift key, and it gets constrained to a perfect circle. With this tool, I can also click in the document and I can set the shape that I want with a perfect width and height. So maybe I want a circle that is 3 inches by 3 inches, 3 by 3, and I can say OK. Now, if I want to delete all these objects, I can select them individually and hit my delete key on my keyboard, or what I can do is hold down my shift key and select multiple with my shift key held down. I can also drag out a selection over everything that I want to delete and hit my delete key. Now the next tool you have is the Polygon tool. You can click in your document and you can set exact sizes. I'm going to cancel that, or I could just directly go in the document and pull out a polygon. Again, if you want a different number of sides with that shape selected, click in your document. This time I'll create a triangle and I'll lower it to 3. And I've got a triangle, which I can scale up, I can make fatter, I can make shorter, I can make thinner. And if I go to one of the corners, I can also rotate it by hand. Note that you do have a rotate tool in here where you can rotate as well. Kind of see how it's being rotated. I'm just going to say cancel to that. And I'm going to straighten it out a little bit. Do note that you do get some smart guides and you can see how much the rotation is as well. All right, I'm going to move that one out of the way. The next tool is the star tool. Like the other tools, you can come in and just pull out a star. This is the default shape. I feel like it should be gold or orangey color. If I do not want a stroke on any of my shapes, what I need to do is click this down arrow and say no stroke. It is the first color swash that has a red slash through it. So that got rid of that stroke. I can always go back and add a stroke in if I want by just clicking a color here. Now, if I want a different type of star, what I do is select that tool, click in the document, and I can determine how many points I want on that star. It's a little bit hard to figure out the radius, the two radiuses here, radii. Really, you just have to kind of guesstimate. I kind of wish Illustrator would have a slider, but there's no visual tool as of yet in Illustrator to do that. And then I have many more points on my star. Again, I can do everything that I could do with the other ones. I'm not sure you'd want to skew it. If you want to resize it proportionally, make sure that when you start pulling, you hold down your Shift key and it'll resize it proportionally. The next tool, okay, actually we've covered them all. I do not want to go over the flare tool. I think that's kind of a goofy tool. It has very limited uses. I do want to cover a new palette. What I want to do under the window menu, I want to open up the Pathfinder. Okay, this is the Pathfinder right here. Notice it opened up a couple other palettes. I'll keep the Align palette. I'm just dragging them apart. If you want to close one, I did that kind of quickly. All you need to do is go to the top of a palette, click on the X, and it'll close that palette. What I'm going to do is create another rectangle. So I'm going back up here and going to pull out a rectangle. I'm going to move my purple triangle on top of this rectangle. So I'm going to go to the Select tool here, or the Move tool, and I'm going to position it on top, and maybe I'll scale it up. One thing to note is there is a stacking order to when things appear on your screen, meaning I drew the rectangle last, so that's the one that I see on the top. If I want that triangle to come forward, what I need to do is go under the Object menu, Arrange, and Bring to Front. We will be talking about the Illustrator Layer Palette, which can help in this process as well, but we won't cover that today. Now, what I can do with the Pathfinder, let me move this one out of the way, is I can select both options, both elements on my document, and what I can do is I can merge those shapes together. I'm going to go Edit, Undo to bring them back. The next one is going to minus out what was in front. I'm going to go Edit, Undo, Subtract. The next one is going to minus everything but where they intersect. Edit, Undo. And the next one is going to keep everything except where they intersect. And I'm going to go Edit, Undo, Exclude. Now, the ones on the bottom here under Pathfinder, a lot of these do the same thing that you can do up here. This one is a little bit unique in that it splits all the pieces into individual parts. So I am going to click on this. What's unique about this option though is once you do that, it treats the whole object as one piece. Really what they are is grouped. So if I want to pull the pieces apart, what I need to do is go Object, Ungroup. And now what I can do is click off that object to deselect it, and I can select the individual pieces and utilize them. Again, I'll do that one more time, and I will unmove, unmove, unmove. And what I did was I clicked on this tool, which splits them apart. Keep in mind that it does group them, so you would have to go Object, Ungroup. I already did it, so I don't have that options grayed out right now. All right, just as a review, to save your document in Illustrator, you go File, Save. In the Finder window, determine where you want to save the document. I will save it on my desktop. When I'm saving the document, I want to make sure that I'm retaining the .ai, the extension, and I will just call this Simple Shapes Demo, and save. And okay. Everything is fine here. By the way, before I close this document, you can always save your Illustrator documents down to a lesser version of Illustrator. Some printers, their machines can only handle something like, we'll say CS4. So you can save down a document. I'm just going to leave it at 2020 and say OK. Now if I close this document, I can always go back up and open, look for where I saved it, which is right here, and I can open it up and I can start on working on my document again.